Us only being a week away from the long-awaited start of the 2020-2021 LaSalle athletics season, we will finally bring an end to the 257-day drought since there was an Explorers athletic event. Hello, I'm Siobhan NOLAN.
And I'm Tyler Small. It is safe to say that Siobhan and I are excited for the Explorers season to begin next Thursday, but it's also an appropriate level of excitement. It's not like I've been wearing this and watching this old highlight from the 2011 Explorers season and just waiting each and every day of the 200 plus days. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. Ahead of the start of the men's basketball season, we sat down with junior forward Jared Kimbrough to discuss the upcoming season.
And later, we give a preseason predictions and storylines to watch ahead of the men's and women's basketball season.
But before we get into all that, let's catch you up on everything you need to know heading into the return of LaSalle athletics.
The MLS is entering playoff season, and we have the pleasure of watching LaSalle alumni John McCarthy do big things for Inter Miami FC. Previously, a keeper for the Philadelphia Union, where he played 23 games and recorded 4 shutouts, McCarthy replaced injured Luis Robles in Miami action against the New York Red Bulls on October 7th. He then recorded a shutout against Houston Dynamo and was featured in the Miami's playoff squad for their bid at this year's MLS Cup. McCarthy was a 3-time All-Region keeper and a Scholar All-American at LaSalle, where he holds just about every goalkeeping record in school history, including 28 career shutouts.
LaSalle Athletics announced an exciting partnership with the app Headspace, a tool that will help student athletes manage anxiety, stress, difficulties focusing, and any other afflictions to an individual's mental health. Dee Dee Gilmore, president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, praised Headspace for not being a one-size-fits-all model, saying that the app is, quote, has its own paths that are based on where the individual might need their own guidance. Headspace has a lot of programs for stressful and anxious situations or for everyday encouraging of better habits like meditating or mindful exercise.
Basketball season hasn't even started yet, but sophomore Claire Jacobs is already collecting honors. Jacobs was named to the Atlantic 10 preseason all-conference second team, which comes as no surprise after her impressive freshman year. She recorded a program record 412 points, along with earning a spot in the Atlantic 10 all-rookie team, voted on by the league's head coaches. The women's basketball team also collected the honor of being voted 10th in the league's preseason coaches poll.
In men's basketball news, head coach Ashley Howard announced that the Explorers had signed guard Deshaun Shepard to a national letter of intent. Shepard is a 2-time Pennsylvania Sports Writers Class 5A All-State second team and helped Archbishop Wood to the state title game as a sophomore. Coach Howard described Shepard as, quote, a versatile guard who is probably one of the most athletic players in the country. His athleticism and skill will give us great versatility on the perimeter. Last year, as a junior, Shepard averaged 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. In a 7-overtime game at the Diana Moscow shootout against Paul VI Catholic High School, Shepard was the last starter standing for either team, finishing the game with an impressive 35 points.
There's also new talent coming into the women's basketball team this season, with guard Julia J. Coate and Kenya Kota Shalis signing their national letters of intent last Wednesday. J. Coate joins the Explorers from Cumberland Valley High School, where she is soon to be a 4-year letter winner in basketball, along with boasting All-Star, All-Co-Conference, and Big 15 honors in her junior year, and a conference and district championship in her sophomore year. Cote Lashina joins LaSalle from Quebec, Canada, where she won a bronze medal in Women's College Division I, was named to the CEGEP Championship All-Star team, and was named to the 2019 RSWEC Tournament All-Stars. She is also a member of the Canadian national team at the U16-18 level and has made appearances in 11 international competitions.
The women's water polo team added their first name to their 2021 recruiting class, with head coach Tom Hyam announcing that attacker Tatum Lomax had signed her national letter of intent. A native of Johannesburg, South Africa, Lomax joins the Explorers with an extensive and impressive resume. She has won numerous national titles during her time at St. Stithians Girls College, which is the top-ranked women's water polo team in South Africa, along with being named to 5 all-tournament teams. Lomax also plays for South Africa's national team at the under-20 level, most notably appearing at the 2019 Governor's Cup in Russia and being named to both the under-20 and senior squads for the 2021 Olympics.
The men's soccer team will welcome forward MJ Nair as part of their 2021 recruiting class. Nair, who hails from Johannesburg, South Africa, has played for the South African national team at the under-17 and under-20 levels, along with the Bidvest West FC Youth Academy and the Black Ace Youth Academy in 2017. Nair was awarded the Golden Boot Award at the COSAFA U17 Championship. Along with nabbing another Golden Boot at the top scorer for the Black Aces, head coach Rob Irvin describes Nair as, quote, a dynamic attacking player who thrives in one-on-ones, and, quote, whose pace and technicality ability fit the profile that we are looking for in attacking players. Nair joins 11-member freshman class represented by 4 different countries.
Swimming and diving is also welcoming a new addition to their team, but this time in the form of new head coach Ian Forlini. Forlini spent his formative athletic years under the guidance of LaSalle's longtime previous swimming and diving coach Steve Kutroff, so he was excited to return to the place that gave him his start in the sport, saying, quote, I'm incredibly honored to come back to the place where I learned to dive to give knowledge and guidance from all my experiences to the diving world. I am so excited to join the LaSalle swimming and diving family.
Well, a lot of stories that we just caught you up on. And I think the one that I'll let you take the head on just because you are such a big MLS fan, but John McCarthy not only getting an opportunity to play for just any team, but a team with serious playoff contentions. Talk a little bit about that.
That's amazing. You know, I knew of him when he played for the Union. I had no idea he went to LaSalle though. But then, you know, we look at Go Explorers just to see what news stories are breaking in the athletics world. And I saw a feature on him and I was like, oh, why are they talking about John McCarthy? Turns out he went to LaSalle, holds just about every goalkeeping record in school history. So it's such an amazing thing because Inter Miami is new to MLS this year. They're owned by David Beckham, but they have so many amazing players that come from international international like recognition.
Yeah.
And so to have a LaSalle alumni be a viable goalkeeping option, you know, they put him in for these important games and he does well. I just think that that's amazing, especially for current athletes to see someone doing so well from LaSalle and, you know, knowing that they could be up there too someday.
I 100% agree. And looking at basketball now, we talked to Jared Kimbrough later in this episode, so we won't talk about more of the recruiting class coming in for the men's side and Coach Ashley Howard, but Coach Mount McGilvery, after his first season, we'll also talk about this later, but his first season of recruiting was massive. I mean, bringing in the Jacobs sisters and others, and now Claire Jacob already bringing in preseason honors, his second team after just making the rookie team. We still have 3 years possibly of her, possibly even more.
Exactly. And, you know, with the women's team, it's so amazing what, you know, Mountain's doing for the team. He's putting a lot of emphasis on getting those recruits and making sure that there's always that supply of young players that are coming in and keeping the excellence of the team up. So we have a lot of great young players that are going to be at LaSalle for a long time. Obviously, the Jacobs sisters are going to be here for a while, which we're very excited about. The 2 new recruits that signed the national letters of intent look to be really amazing. You know, they're playing at international levels for their national team. So that just shows that, you know, LaSalle recruits, they have a really good eye for players to bring in. And the fact that players like that want to come and play for LaSalle is also a really amazing thing to see too.
Exactly. And then to finish it off, to see Ian Forlini come back to the LaSalle swimming and diving program to lead them, you can go out and outsource for a coach. And we have plenty of coaches that have come from outside LaSalle's reign, but when it comes from inside the program, you know, there's just a deeper connection that you have with whatever program they're coming from. And you could tell that Ian is so excited to get back to the roots that brought him up for 4 years, and he could change the lives of 4 4 years for new players coming into the program.
And like you said, it's always great to have people who have connections to LaSalle, not to discount any of our coaches that,
Exactly.
go to LaSalle before, but he's obviously very passionate about the team, very excited. Swimming and diving always does well. They always impress us. So that with a young, new, exciting coach, I mean, we could be looking at a really, really impressive swimming and diving season, even more so than last year when they dominated. So, another team that we can look forward to playing or seeing play.
We got 24 sports coming up. They're all coming up at one time. We're going to have a lot to cover here, but it's safe to say that we are excited and have a lot of good news coming in.
Very excited to be busy again. Thanks.
All right, so now let's send it to our interview with Jared Kimbrough. We thank him for joining us this week, and we'll send it now to this week's edition of On the Sideline. Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of On the Sideline. We got junior forward Jared Kimbrough with us. Jared, thank you for joining us.
Bro, thanks for having me.
So to get it started, with the cancellation of fall sports that we heard about in August, were you and the rest of the basketball team worried about the fate of the basketball season in the winter?
Yes, actually, I was talking to another one of my teammates about it when we first heard the news. We didn't believe that we would be able to play this season after hearing the cancellation of the fall sports. So, it didn't stop us from doing our own thing at home, like working out and trying to stay safe. But it was a concern that we all had coming into the season when we all came back to campus. So we was all talking about it. We was all concerned. So I'm just glad we're here now.
Yeah, you're there now. But before that, like you said, you were working out from home, trying to stay ready for a season if it would or would not happen. Talk about what that was like, and talk about what it's like now being on campus, doing the workouts that you can with almost no one there around you like normal.
Yeah, it was kind of hard trying to work out at home. I found it hard to stay like consistent with it. So that's one thing that I had to fight. But every day I got up and I worked out as much as I can. It's kind of hard to find like a place inside to work out in and also outside. Where I live, they took the courts down. So really the only thing I was really doing was running by the beach because I live by the beach. So me and my friend, we just worked out down by the beach every morning. Just try to get our running up. So that's what we did. And then coming here and working out, it felt pretty good. I felt like I was in better shape than I was last year, and I felt better than I did ever. My body felt great. And still being here now, working out with the team, like I still feel great. I feel like I'm in a better position than I was last year. Physically, I feel better, stronger. So I feel overall better having to go from working out by myself to working out with the team. So it was a big improvement.
Well, that's obviously great to hear. And now that the team is back together, you guys have been practicing together for a while now. What can we as LaSalle fans get excited about for this current basketball team?
Honestly, just watching us, being able to see us, we have great freshmen coming in who are great talents and will help this team tremendously. And just the like returning players that we had last year, like we're all closer and together as a unit, and we're playing great basketball, and that's all everybody wants to see. People just play great basketball, and when you watch people play great basketball, it's just a lot of excitement. So this team has some real talent, and we have the ability to win a lot of games this year.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. So talk about the freshmen and all the pieces around you, and that's great to hear, the humbleness and all, but let's talk about you for a second. So the last 5 games of the last season, you averaged 9.2 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game. You were a big step up when the season was really getting high and you were getting to the 8-10s. Talk about what it's like to carry a performance like that into a new season and into the off season. Were you just excited to get back out there?
Honestly, yeah, I was really excited to get back. And when I was home, I kept working on the things that I was doing that made me successful at the end of the year. And I got better at those things. So as the time was coming down to us actually coming back, I was really excited to just like get back out there and actually get together with my teammates and work out with them so that, they could see what I've been working on to help this team win. So it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling knowing that we was gonna be able to come back and play this year. So I could, you know, I was able to just show what I was working on. I improved a lot of things, uh, and I was just excited. Like I was upset when it got canceled, but knowing that we was gonna be able to come back, I was really excited. I was ready to get back out there.
Yeah, and speaking to you being a leader on this team, you're one of the upperclassmen. What are you and some of the other juniors and seniors doing to kind of help guide the rest of the team through these really confusing and unprecedented times?
Um, Basically, we're just trying to remain, like not remain, but to remind them of our end goal. So we just basically we teach the younger kids what to do. We stay consistent in what we say. We don't tell them something that we aren't doing. Also, uh, we try to get everybody to stay where we are. Nobody really go off and do their own thing, so we all could stay safe and not get sick or anything. Because if that happens, then that slows our process down and becoming the best team that we could be. So we just try to really just implement things that the coach says to us and just try to implement them to the younger classmen. So that's really basically that, what we've been doing.
I want to go back to what you were talking about before you went back to LaSalle, and you were talking about the workouts on the beach, stuff like that. I can picture Rocky right now already. But I mean, talk a little bit about what the transition was like to get back to that, because you say your body felt great and you did a lot of cardio stuff, I can imagine. But a lot of players, both in college and even professionally, you heard talk about, they kind of get a little bit weaker almost. And you, obviously, a force as a power forward for this team. What was it like getting back to the court for the first time as more of an agile player almost?
uh, it felt good, but honestly, in some ways, I was still tired. I was in shape, but I wasn't in game shape, and it took me a little bit to actually get back into game shape. Um, and that probably was the hardest part for me coming back, was just trying to get into game shape. Even though I was already in shape, I wasn't in game shape, so it was kind of hard to do that. And that's really it. Like,
Right.
Yeah, and speaking of being in game shape, we're a week away from the start of the season. We have the official basketball schedule out. Are there any teams that you or you guys as a team are looking forward to in particular to playing?
uh, simply our first game, because that's our next game. Honestly, we're ready to go to St. John's and play St. John's. We're all just excited to play a different opponent. Like we go hard in practice every day, going at each other every single day. So we're all excited to play another opponent and see what we've been working at, see if it's working or not. But we're all just like excited to play a different opponent. So we're just mainly focused on getting ready for St. John's.
Yeah. No, get ready for the season up ahead. Got a lot of things that happen. Got a good non-conference schedule coming up, but let's talk a little bit about A10 play. Is there a team or an actual school you like to go to, or anywhere you prefer to play, like almost whether it's because of the rivalry or it's because of just the long-standing history between LaSalle and that team? What's your favorite or least favorite team in the A10?
Uh, Favorite team to play against in the A10? I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, like one of the games will be probably St. Joe's, because that's always a rivalry, uh, and probably Dayton. They always give us a good game.
Mm-hmm.
And St. Louis, they always give us another good game. So I feel like those two are probably like our most competitive. to me it is, and those are the games that like are like the games I really look forward to playing in this year. I don't know if I have a least favorite team to play against though.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
So.
Yeah, and even though we have really stacked schedule, you guys are ready to play good basketball. Do you think it's going to affect your game at all, or do you think it's just going to be weird that you're going to be playing these games and not have any fans to watch you? You know, because basketball is such a big part of LaSalle culture. Do you think that's going to be a big adjustment for you guys?
uh, I don't think it would be a big adjustment for us. I mean, like it's just like practice, basically. It's nobody else in the gym but us in practice, so it's just basically just us locking in, um, and that's really it. It's not really a big adjustment actually, because practice is just should be just like the game, and that's what it's going to look like this year. It may look different, but I don't think that it's going to really affect us on the court as a team. So I feel like we'll be pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's a good mindset to have, but I think you got to go to David Beatty and tell him if he makes that dunk this season where he got on SportsCenter without a crowd in front of him, he might not be as happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him energy for sure. I'm gonna give him energy.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, Siobhan, I don't know if you have any more questions, but Jared, this has been great. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thanks for having me.
Now, as we are approaching the long-awaited start of the 2020-2021 LaSalle athletic season, let's take a look into our previews for the winter sports jumping into action.
Let's start with men's basketball. They come into the season after an exciting 15-15 season, where half of those wins came at Tom Gola Arena. There were some huge strides forward for the program, like winning the Gulf Coast Showcase, losing a heartbreaker to the nationally ranked Wildcats, and much more. However, this year, they look to take on the next step. They have some favorable matchups in their non-conference schedule, including St. Peter's, Towson, and Howard, which they are a combined 6-1 against all time. In their conference, though, they look to jump on these opportunities left by the rivals. Teams like Dayton and St. Louis may not be the powerhouses that we are used to in the A-10, and it will take leaders like David Beatty, Scott Spencer, and the youthful production of Ayinde Hakeem and Sharif Kenny to help push them to the conference standings.
Looking at the women's team, the story of their 2019-2020 season was one of astounding progress. It seems like years ago, but the Explorers began last season on fire, going 5-1 in their first 6. This included the upset at Happy Valley as LaSalle took down Penn State by 2 on the road. After hitting a rough patch following the scorching start, the team found their identity. They look to capitalize off of this upcoming season. They open the season again with Howard and Coppin State, which they are 4-1 against all time. Then they only have a few more matchups before they quickly reach A-10 play. After finishing tied for 8th in the A-10 last year, the Explorers look to match and surpass the .500 record in the conference led by Claire Jacobs and Kayla Spruill. The two average combined a 23.7 points per game, and both saw game highs in the 20s. But they will look to get help from their stacked incoming class of people like Kayla Richardson, Morgan Adams, and Michelle Kazicki.
So, Siobhan, let's talk a little bit more about starting with the men's team. I think you see it from both the men's and women's team that when the freshmen are coming in, they're getting immediate opportunities and they're performing through them. I mean, I was a huge fan of Ayinde Hakeem last year, obviously. He averaged 6.1 points per game. You know those totals are going to go up, but he's also doing stuff around with 3.4 assists per game and 2 rebounds per game. And then you have guys like Christian Ray, who shot 42% from the field all season, but he only averaged 3 shots a game. But there were some games that he could really take over. And I think the biggest impact that we're going to see from a returning player is Brendan Stone. Brendan Stone, I mean, if you think back to homecoming, he had that phenomenal game, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks in his D1 debut. He obviously had to face through some injuries last year. He only started in 8 games, but there's some players like that. But then, of course, you have to look back to the star. David Beatty's coming back, 10.7 points per game, 33% from deep and 37% from the field. It's his team now. I mean, last year he shared it with people like Ed Croswell and Isaiah Dees, but now he is ready to be the leader. And I just couldn't be more excited for the men's team this year.
And he's more than ready to take on that leadership role. It's a long time coming for him. It's one that he's been preparing for. And it's just amazing how we have all these names that we can talk about. You know, we're just rattling off like the entire roster. You know, you can throw in Scott Spencer. He leads the A-10 in 3-point shots. He makes 43.8% of his shots. coming from Clemson in 2018. He has that really nice big school experience. So I think just the fact that we can be rattling off all of these individual names and pointing out all of these really great individual performances and then putting that together as a team, like Jared Kimbrough was saying, how they're all really great chemistry wise, we're in for a really exciting men's basketball season.
Excited to see what we see from the men's side. Let's look at the women's, however, because they had a fun season, as you could say the least, coming off from my freshman year, at least, so 2 years ago. Obviously not the type of production they would want, but then, as we say, Coach McGillivray gets his first year of recruiting and really instilling his offensive defensive schemes, and he outperforms. I mean, 5-1 throughout that first stretch, including that win over Penn State, which
amazing.
They're still king of the world. I was literally planning my bracket with LaSalle in it at that point because I thought they were for real this year. Obviously, they fell off a little bit after that point, but they were still a phenomenal team to watch. And only person they're really losing, they've lost a couple seniors, but of their top 5 scorers, they're all coming back. Shalina Miller obviously is a force inside, so they'll have to make up for that. But this team is pretty much the same team as last year.
Yeah, and they're on the up and up so much. We talked about how the big theme surrounding the women's team is progress. They had a scorching start last year. They were off to a 5-1 start in their first 6 games, which obviously amazing. So you take that with the fact that they're bringing in new players. A lot of their best players are returning this year. I think just with all of that coupled together, and, if Coach McGillivray keeps bringing in these amazing players, it's really only looking up for the women's team, which is incredibly exciting because they had amazing games last year. Very fun to watch. There's a lot of anticipation surrounding the women's games because we knew that we were definitely in for a treat with them playing. So I think that if they keep up their production like they've been doing, we're in for a really good future for the women's team and a really good current season.
We absolutely are. So going back to what I was just saying, the 5 leaders, we got Claire Jacobs with 13.7, and we know how special she is. But the other players that don't really get as much love, I mean, Kayla Sproul averaged 11 on her own, 6.1 rebounds per game. She might take over. She's more of an undersized big, and she's more likely going to be using that small forward role, but she could be somebody that steps up with the loss of Shalina Miller. We got Kayla Lewis, obviously averaging 7.3 a game. Amy Jacobs, who is still a phenomenal scorer, shooting over a 40% clip, 6.9 per game. And Deja King, who really runs this offense. I mean, she is a facilitator. And a lot of these players don't get the credit that they should because it doesn't show up in the stat book. I mean, Kayla Sproul is on the floor every other 2 minutes. She's always going for those gritty plays. She's always getting on the floor and getting dirty. This team, I just love them as a complete team, and both basketball teams LaSalle fans should get ecstatic about.
So that just about wraps it up for us this week. Keep up with the upcoming sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com or check out this week's edition of the Collegian.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Twitter and Instagram at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send your thoughts and suggestions there.
For Jared Kimbrough and our SportsLine team, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Tyler Small. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the game.